If an organization treats its employee base like a number, then they're going to treat, that job like a number. And,
Yep.
you will see those efforts reflected in the work they do. But if the organization really, like you said, gives them the opportunity to be themselves and thrive, and if they treat them accordingly, then they will have better interactions with the
Yes.
residents and everyone they're, associated with.
Treat your employees well and they'll treat your residents well.
100%.
It's funny. People will we get asked all the time, why do you do what you do? And the response from a lot of people in the industry is like, I really want to serve seniors. And I was like, well, is it really bad that that's not why I do what I do? I do what I do because I want to empower others to serve seniors.
Yeah.
Like, I want to create an environment where, well, we're attracting people to serve, but also people to serve them that truly love what they do, but feel
Yeah.
empowered to do what they do.
Welcome to The Move In, a senior living marketing podcast from Unlock Health, a full-service marketing partner for the aging services industry. Join us for candid conversations exploring the latest marketing strategies with the senior living community leaders and innovative solution partners who are moving our industry forward. Together, we'll build a community to build better communities. Marketing typically focuses on lead generation, but how can marketing teams impact talent, culture, and growth within the organization? Hello, I'm Larry Williams, and welcome to the Move In Senior Living Marketing powered by Unlock Health. And if you've ever wondered how marketing, talent acquisition, and employee engagement intersect in senior living, this episode is for you. Today, we're joined by Brooke Saxon-Spencer, Vice President of Marketing at Claiborne Senior Living, who is rethinking how senior living organizations attract, retain, and engage both employees and residents. In this episode, Brooke shares how Claiborne is transforming the employee experience, leveraging branding, training, and even CRM-style tactics to create a more engaging and fulfilling work environment. We also explore why storytelling is a game changer in senior living recruitment and how a fresh approach to digital marketing is shaping the future of talent acquisition. Here are a few things we discussed in this conversation: the role of marketing and talent acquisition, how marketing strategies typically used for lead generation are now being applied to attract and retain top talent in senior living. We also discussed creating a culture of engagement and retention and the importance of structured onboarding, training, and internal branding to enhance employee satisfaction and long-term retention. And the power of storytelling in senior living, how video marketing and personal stories from employees and residents are transforming recruitment efforts and shifting the perception of senior living. If you're in senior living marketing or just love hearing about creative, human-centered strategies, you won't want to miss this conversation. Let's jump into it. All right, we are back over the Move In Senior Living Marketing with my friend Brooke Saxon-Spencer. Brooke, we were just talking about how your name can be a tongue twister, and I messed up coming out of the gates, but thank you.
Got it right.
Yeah, I still got it right a second time. It's kind of like saying Christy Vander Westhuizen.
Huh?
And I remember
That's why we like each other, I think, is because we both have complicated last names.
When she was on the podcast, I remember getting so scared saying her name. I practiced and still butchered it. So we're good now. We got that out of the way. So you got my friend Brooke here with us. I'm really excited about this conversation. We spoke about a month ago. And so I called you to talk about senior housing news, want to see if you and a few others wanted to grab dinner. And like every other conversation we have, it's spiraled out of control. And we started to talk about a variety of different topics. One of those led down to the path of talent acquisition, resident satisfaction, and just ongoing, I'd say, employee engagement and, also satisfaction. We think about the resident as well as, coworkers and employee satisfaction. And you had so much to say about all of this. And I think we even joked saying like, I wish we recorded that conversation. And so I said, okay, can we rehash all of this on a podcast episode? So thank you so much for joining us today. Real quick, I'll tell everybody you're the VP of marketing at Claiborne. I was at Claiborne Senior Living.
Yep.
Okay, great. Tell us a little bit about Claiborne before we go any further.
Sure. So Claiborne is based in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And all the communities, we have about 20 communities on the Southeast. And I'm very fortunate enough in this organization to get to really focus in on my passion on the marketing side. Done all the sales stuff too, but I have an awesome sales partner. But I love that my role at Claiborne has allowed me to evolve. And, we're talking about resident engagement and employee engagement. And my role has evolved into including those as far as like we're really starting to market residents, not just prospects. And we're marketing to families, not just prospective families, and even our current employees, in addition to, our normal marketing efforts. So I think that's been really fun and unique about the organization for me, and small enough that we can make pivots like that. And I think really have some great impact.
It's fun to speak with you about this because at Senior Housing News, you and I were catching up after a session, and I even said, "Like, this is." You don't realize how complicated all of this is until you start hearing this feedback and understanding how much I say impact that marketing has in so many different areas of an organization. And we think about marketing with lead generation and we just focus on that, but it goes so much further. I feel like marketing gets pulled into all these other, I'd say, areas
Yeah.
from, going beyond lead generation to having a hand in, resident satisfaction and ensuring that there is that great experience and also now talent acquisition and really what does that ongoing employee engagement look like, just because you have a big part of creating the right communication channels
Yes.
to really speak to employees where they are and how to continue to further their professional journey. And it sounds like you have a hand in that as well.
Yeah. I was really, really excited last year to, I'm not an HR guru, but when we were talking about talent acquisition, we were talking about training and development and how there was a gap in our training and development programs. As I started to really think about it, I was like, oh my goodness, there are so many synergies here as far as, what marketing's trying to do, not again from talent acquisition all the way through. I mean, we're talking about just a different type of lead. And so, yeah, I was able to, work with our HR partners, take a step back, and, just like we have a CRM for our prospect data, I mean, there's the applicant tracking systems that HR uses, but they're just as robust in many cases as our CRM. So we can build them out to do the same types of things, the automated responses, the interview reminders. How many of us say we have no call, no shows for interviews? And even just establishing the role of talent acquisition manager to be a salesperson in that they're calling out and reminding people, and just a lot of those personal touches that I think we've kind of lost sight of. We just throw an ad up, and usually they're very technically worded ads too. They don't sound like super fun,
Yeah.
right? At least from my perspective, an
Yeah.
ad for a caregiver doesn't always sound super engaging. So taking a step back, looking at that kind of stuff and seeing how marketing can contribute to overall brand from that perspective as well. Because again, historically, I don't think marketing has had a whole lot of, at least not in this company or others that I've worked in. HR and marketing are kind of very
Sure.
much separate, right? So it's been fun to kind of step in and say like, all right, seriously, let's just chat GPT that job description and see like we can do better, right? We
Yeah.
can do better. We can brand this better and we can make it more engaging and hopefully attract a different pool of individuals who are willing to step into the senior living world that maybe haven't considered it before.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's looking at it from a different perspective as well. And sometimes I know we get caught up in our own world, and like you said, sometimes we use more of that technical jargon, and we need to take it that step back and really look at it as someone who is just looking at new job opportunities.
Yeah.
And one thing that I think about what Fran Palma said back at Smash is, how important storytelling is. And
Yeah.
we speak about this with engaging potential residents and their families, but this is a big part of the, connecting with potential hires as well. And he even said, like, sell them on like the grounds and the location and everything like that. And I'm sure that you're bringing in a different type of customer journey as you're thinking about this as well.
Absolutely. And it's funny, though I know we're probably a couple of years behind some larger organizations with potentially larger budgets, but we really delved into the video side of things this year. But we ensured that video didn't mean just resident stories, which are super important. Don't get me wrong. But we have half and half. Half of our video strategy is focused on employees. And the stories that we're getting are, they're really, really beautiful. Hearing why people came into the industry, or, they cared for a loved one at home, which prompted them to think, well, could I do this professionally? And somehow we made a connection with them, and they're in it for life now. And I know
Yeah.
that many of us in the senior living industry would say, like, we're never going to go anywhere. Or some of us have tried to get out, but we always come back because there's just something very unique and special about the industry we serve in. And, trying to convey that messaging in a meaningful way, like those testimonials, those videos they're priceless. But I love that we've been able to, again, like I said, I'm sure other companies have done it. We're not breaking out of the box here, but capturing those stories will help the industry as a whole, right? As far as, they're not Claiborne stories, they are caregiver stories
Yeah,
or
for
life
sure.
enrichment director stories. And hearing the connections that these types of, that these individuals are making with our residents, they talk about that, and they talk about how their family.
Yeah.
And it's unique. There aren't a lot of other places like that. Doesn't happen in multifamily, right? Like, this is very unique that we
Yeah.
have caregivers who consider residents an extension of their family and vice versa. It's super cool.
And I think about the word fulfillment. People, when it's all said and done, they want fulfillment in what they
Yes.
do. They don't want just a job. They want to invest their time and energy into something that's where they feel like they're making a difference, but it's also given back to them as well. And I think that's the big difference within senior living.
Yeah.
And that's why people, when they get in, you don't hear them like really leaving. They become
Right.
invested and they stay really for a career. And I love unpacking those stories. And like you said, it's just not for Claiborne, but I think it's also changing the narrative of senior living as a whole. And I think that's what, when we think about telling these stories, like you said, in video form, that's going to make such an impact. Now, I'm a big fan of what like Nathan with what he's doing with Dash Media.
Maybe the
Uh,
partner I'm talking about.
oh, okay, that's it.
They're exactly,
Yeah,
they're helping us capture
they're
those stories.
great. Yeah, he and Jack York helped.
Yep.
They're my two favorite sessions I've ever been a part of. And like been a lot of been I've seen a lot of great sessions. I've seen you speak. You do a great job. Christy does a great job. Like Matt Reinders. A lot of these names come to like who like they do a great job with connecting with an audience. But I'd say that Nathan and Jack, because it's storytelling
They
at
get
its
it.
core. And so
They
like
really
they're
get
sharing
it.
these stories that they're presenting, and man, people are laughing, crying, and
Yep.
everything. So again, going back to what you're saying and leveraging video, you're telling these stories. And I think it connects at a different level, both on,
Yes.
with potential hires, but also I think it does help with marketing to potential residents. They see the heart and they get to hear these stories. And it's an incredible way to really promote those services. But my question to you is, are you leveraging social media more through these
Yes. So
videos, or
we
have a plan to?
absolutely, we are layering them into our social media tactics. We really currently we let our communities have access to Facebook, and they post directly, which I know is like something that some people cringe at. So far, it's okay. Don't worry. But we're layering in, supplementing things that are happening in the communities. I think one of the really cool things that I like about even just like it's only been a couple months, but some of the videos that have come out, both the resident and the employee stories, like, I don't consider myself a highly emotional person, but oh my goodness, the chills. And as you know, like if anyone's familiar with Dash, like they're not in there like setting up a sound stage, or like
Yeah.
it's very organic. They throw a mic on somebody, they sit them down, and they have a conversation. It's not like highly produced, right? So
Yeah.
you're just getting real. And one of the stories I just saw of a gentleman who was like, he knew the exact date that he met his wife. And he said, I met her on this date. She died on this date. And what I wouldn't give to have just one more day with her. And again, giving him the space to tell those stories, I think it helps with our prospective employees. I mean, right? Like both stories are helping on both sides, because the prospective employees are also able to see these are real
Yeah.
people with real life history,
Yeah.
and the amount of love that that man had for his wife, that he knew the exact date that they met. Like, I can't tell you the exact date I met my husband. I mean, I remember vaguely, right? But
Sure.
oh man, he was like on the nose. And it made me feel so proud to be able to share his story too, to like celebrate him in that.
Yeah, and it's such a it's a way to connect and make us think about this, and I've heard before that, these residents, they have so much to offer and so much advice to give, and kind of made me reflect on one of these videos I saw recently where they were speaking to a gentleman and they asked him a question. I said, "If you can go back and do anything, what would it be?" He said, "I would dance with my wife one more time." And, we get caught up in the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah,
We're,
we do.
whether it's work, in front of our computers too often, and just feel like we need to take care of things. But, just enjoy those moments, the little moments that are so
Yeah.
meaningful, and don't take those for granted. And I'm
Well, and
glad that
I
we have this
made
advice.
sure that I know that my entire team is not on our social medias all the time, right?
Yeah.
As far as even the executive team. So it was important to me to make sure that they all saw them too, because
Yeah.
those of us that aren't in communities all the time, we forget too. We forget who these team members are that are the lifeblood of what we do. And we forget that the residents aren't just a number on our occupancy or rent roll, right?
Yeah.
So I think it was, just seeing those again, it was just such a great reminder and motivator that like these are the things we want to showcase. This is how we, partner with other professional, you know, partners in the industry to tell these stories so that we can, as a, industry, change the face. And, we know that we have a huge influx of individuals that are potential residents coming up, right? But how are we doing a good enough job positioning ourselves to look like an appealing option?
Yeah, for sure. Well, beyond the talent acquisition
Yeah.
part, I know you've had a hand in that ongoing, say, employee
Yeah.
satisfaction, and that make sure everyone that
Yeah.
really defining a positive culture. How have you how have you been a part of this at
Yeah.
Claiborne? And also, how does marketing support HR efforts in ongoing employee satisfaction and creating that culture
Yeah.
of good?
Well, to me, it started with a good training program.
Mm,
We started doing some employee surveys about a year ago, 5 day, like at certain intervals that, we thought, okay, so at 5 days, they should have gotten through orientation. At 14 days, they probably should have had most of their training. At 30, they should have been kind of, so we picked intervals and we had similar questions to kind of see how that scaled up or down. And a lot of the feedback that we would get was that there wasn't good training,
mm,
honestly. It wasn't consistent, or they got thrown on the floor. And again, you think about the majority of the team members at the communities, we have a lot of caregivers, right? There's a lot of other individuals, but caregivers are truly like that's the bulk of our labor force. So we, looking at it, we're like, well, we're done with COVID. We need to get out of this knee jerk. We just need a warm body to be on the floor, so to
sure.
speak.
Yeah, it's a numbers
Yes, we
game at
have
that
another
point.
guest.
I, li-
Yes, I apologize.
I gotta ask the cat. What's the cat's
This is
name?
Britain, and if we're lucky, we'll see maybe four others wander around. But so this is what happens when we're in my living room. So we'll be at
I
home.
love it. Just give Britton the mic.
Yeah, exactly. But we were finding though that I didn't get any training. I just showed up and like got tossed in.
Mhm.
And that is not, we talk about resident experience. That is not a good employee experience. Or we weren't even prepared for them when they showed up.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. So we decided we brought someone in last summer and said, okay, so from the moment that someone has signed the offer letter, we are going to go ahead and we're going to navigate. We're going to look at this whole process again. Like, and that's where the talent acquisition manager actually took over some of that piece as far as, so they're doing beforehand, but from the signed offer letter, are they following up to ensure that they're there for orientation? Do they get reminded about orientation? Are we ensuring that all the paperwork has been completed beforehand? Just like again with our residents, right? Like there's all
Yeah.
sorts of pre-work. We don't want somebody just to show up and be like, oh, you didn't get your background check. You can't start today. Like
Yeah.
that's not going to work for a caregiver. They're depending on that income. So we revamped the whole process and, looked at onboarding, we categorized our buckets. Onboarding is up until the moment they come in on their first day, and their first day is always orientation. And we created a whole new orientation program that is branded, that every community in our company uses the same slide deck.
Okay.
It needs, so we're like addressing all the regulatory things that people have to know before they can hit the floor, so to speak, right? We're meeting regulations, but we've also scripted it enough that each director has a role. Again, we're talking culture, and
Mhm.
why don't people leave? Because they don't feel like they belong. They don't
Yeah.
feel like they know what they're doing, and they don't feel like they belong, and they don't know how they work in with the whole system of things, right? So we wanted each director to have a voice in building those relationships right out of the get-go, and being able to like say, here's how I serve you, here's how, how I serve the residents, here's how we work together. So really letting them all take part in that. And it's interactive. There's several different activities they do out throughout the day. We make sure they have their name badge when they walk in. We show them how to clock in. Again, all the things that kind of slip through the cracks in our previous program, which was nothing. We were like, oh, well, we have all these things you're supposed to do, but we tried to really make it easy. And I had an executive director. So we launched that at the end of last year. And an executive director was so, so proud of my team that put it together, said on a call the other day, our new orientation is so awesome because it allows me to remain focused, which is
Mm.
one of our core values, remain focused. And so we asked him to kind of like, what do you mean? He's like, well, everything that I need to do is right there. So it helps me stay on track, but it still gives him the flexibility to add his personality, right?
Yeah.
We didn't script it to the point where they're reading a script. We gave them cues. Like,
Love
you have
that.
to talk about this. You have to talk about resident rights, and here they are. But within that, you be you.
Yeah,
And
use your own voice, like, use
yes,
your own personality, because that's
yeah,
what really conveys if you're reading from a script, it doesn't seem like it's coming from the heart.
exactly. And it's not a checklist of, well, we have to do this, 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 this. So we really, again, tried to give it, guardrails.
Mhm.
And then, so that has been going really well. So but the other thing is we added a video of our CEO who says hello at the beginning
Yeah.
of that. They have they understand kind of, we give who the home office, what that looks like. What's the structure of the company?
Yeah.
How did it start? Why are we even here? So we tried to add some background in there as well. And again, not just like, here's the check the boxes for the regulations. And I think that adding some of our brand personality to it really helped. And so now everybody gets the same messaging. That's gone over really well. From there, they go to job specific training, and we're creating modules for every position. It's going to take us a while to get through because I think we
Sure.
decided we have like 30 community based positions. We started with caregiver, and we launched, different resources for different learning styles. We have online, we have shoulder to shoulder, we have like a resource guide. We have all these different points at which they can, whatever resonates best with them, they can utilize or re-reference should they need to. But we're, working again on ensuring people know, what are they supposed to be doing? How are they supposed to be doing it? What are the expectations? But then we're asking for their feedback. What else do you need?
Yeah.
What don't you understand? What gaps are there? So we can, again, layer more on. And so far, again, the surveys, because we're continuing to kick out those same surveys, but we're not just kicking out the surveys, we're also reaching out and asking about them completing the surveys. Because a lot of times you can kick out surveys to people's, cell number, or email, and they just disregard them.
Sure.
So we're having the conversations as well. We really want your feedback. We want to know how we can do better, and then tweaking the process accordingly. So, we actually have taken the training and development manager that's kind of heading all this up. Anytime we get any feedback, she, just like our Google reviews, she's pushing it back out to the communities to celebrate the good work that they're doing.
That
And she's
that's
also
awesome.
taking the constructive feedback and using that to continue to build out where we might have gaps. And again, is this rocket science? No. Do a lot of other companies have some of these things in play? Perhaps. But we wanted to take a step back and kind of start from scratch, because I think we've also we've always done, well, this is the way we've always done it. We're like,
Yeah.
well, we don't want to do that anymore. Like, the regs are the regs, but how can we bring a fresh spin to that? And how can we really ensure that people understand what's expected of them, but keep it fun and keep it engaging?
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's where we are. We're on the clinical side right now because it has such a huge impact, but it's been really amazing to see the great response from the community teams as far
That's
as
great.
having the resources, and again, having the different learning styles accounted for, and references and things like that. So,
Yeah, and you
but
said just having the resources, and I think people just want to have the freedom and ability to do their
yes.
job. Just give me the opportunity to
Yep.
be my best self, and, I'll spread my wings and fly. I really
Yep.
believe that, and you said it's not rocket science, and like I said, it's not, it's just, doing the right things, but I think the word is it's intentional. It's
It is
about being
intentional.
very intentional with each step in taking those same strategies as a lead generation and
Yes.
resident, just retention into connecting with potential employees and also current employees. And I think that's the other thing. We get so caught up thinking about,
Mhm.
looking for the right employee. We want to make sure we don't disregard, those have been through the thick and thin with us over the last,
Yeah.
5, 10 plus years. And so, one thing I thought about recently, and it made me think about this in this conversation is, if an organization treats its employee base like a number, then they're going to treat, that job like a number. And
Yep.
you will see those efforts reflected in the work they do. But if the organization really, like you said, gives them the opportunity to be themselves and thrive, and if they treat them accordingly, then they will have better interactions with the
Yes.
residents and everyone they're associated with.
Treat your employees well and they'll treat your residents well.
100%. And you set the
And I
tone
do
from the
believe that.
top. I do
And
too.
it's funny, people will oft like, we get asked all the time, why do you do what you do? And the response from a lot of people in the industry is like, I really want to serve seniors. And I was like, well, is it really bad that that's not why I do what I do? I do what I do because I want to empower others to serve seniors.
Yeah.
Like, I want to create an environment where, like, we're attracting people to serve, but also people to serve them that truly love what they do, but feel
Yeah.
empowered to do what they do, support what they do. And that's, from the marketing side, I feel like my job is to empower the sales team by filling their leads, like quality leads, giving them tools behind the scenes so that they don't have to lift a finger to nurture leads, so that they
Yeah.
can focus on the things that really matter. And that's relationships, which is also crafting meaningful relationships as part, like my favorite part of our mission statement at Claiborne, because I think it touches on every aspect of our business, whether it's internal with resident families, employees, vendors, referral partners,
Mhm.
right? Like, it affects everything. And we all want to have a place where we belong. We all want to feel like we're seen and heard. I think Wanda Moen said, you aren't going to build trust if people don't feel seen or heard. But that applies not just to residents, that applies to our team. So how can we see them and hear them and create that trust there as well?
For sure, and I think it's a different digital landscape, and so if we're speaking about like the niceties of just connecting and how we want to treat employees, but on the flip side, if you don't, that's going to be shared. Whether it's through Glassdoor, Indeed, like there's reviews and potential residents are looking at that as well, and
Yes,
so
they
you
are.
can't hide from it. If you aren't creating a space where people can thrive. It will be,
Yep.
you'll be able to see that online as well. So that's just the other side of
Yep.
this is that it's all out there now. I think in today's digital landscape. Question for you, and when it goes back to the marketing side, like have you leveraged more of your website and other digital presence to help with more professional growth? And I know that has changed also as creating that journey. We think about that
Yep.
that buyer journey, but when it comes to the employee journey, from the talent acquisition to
Mhm.
even promoting, other jobs and how to connect so people do feel engaged, not just at the community, but as the organization as a whole, so they can see, what the future looks like for them.
Yeah. Career paths are definitely something that we are working hard on,
Mhm.
because again, I think we all have aspirations. There's very few people, I think, that don't aspire for something more. Even as a caregiver, do you want to be a lead caregiver? Do you like, there's layers that people
Yeah.
want to add, or growth opportunities that they're looking for. A couple of things that, I mean, we've leveraged our website for employees in a variety of different ways, and there's so much more we could do, right? There's endless opportunities. But one of the favorite things that we did just over the last year was we realized that one of the things that we weren't really doing a good job of with our current employees was making sure that they knew about all their perks and benefits. There are so many different little
Yeah.
things. And yeah, I mean, sure, they're on your employee software, whatever platform, right?
Sure.
Like, you have to own it though and go in and look. So part of our training and development, the onboarding piece that we developed was we have like an employee page that kind of lives on the back end of our website that basically like it's pretty, right? It's not a one pager handout, but it like, did you know that you can earn money from referrals, but here's how you do it. Like it's
Yeah.
all at their fingertips. So that it looks nice. It's easier to engage with. The tools and resources they need are right there. Job growth opportunities, coaching opportunities. But, on the recruitment side, when we redesigned our websites a couple of years ago, I really tried to keep in mind that we were trying, like we have three audiences we're trying to get on, we're speaking to on our
Sure.
websites. Adult children and prospective residents, absolutely. But we really we're also marketing to prospective employees. And
Yeah.
we want them to go onto our sites and think this is something that resonates with me as well. So we tried to take that into account as we were developing those sites, the language, and having different opportunities for engagement for potential employees, like inserting that in. And a lot of, again, other vendors and providers, like further, they've added job language and things like that into their workflows, which has really helped support that because there is a real need for that in
For
marketing and
sure.
making it easy for, the quick apply.
Yeah.
People don't always go to Indeed. What if they happen to land on our website, or maybe they're looking for a loved one and they're like, oh, but this might be something my daughter might enjoy doing,
Yeah.
or what have you. So how can we be appealing to a broader audience than just, prospective residents and
Yeah.
families?
It's funny you say that, and I think about we speak about that triggering event when
Yeah.
someone finally says like, I need to reevaluate, my living conditions or whatever
Yep.
that might be. But that's also true when it comes to, your job. You might have that one moment, and it might be someone more in the healthcare or the hospital space
Yeah.
to say like, I want something more than this,
Yeah.
and then just connect with them at that point. But like you said, you want to make that process as easy and efficient as possible, so they don't feel like they have to jump through hoops, but they can connect with someone pretty
Yes.
quickly and efficiently.
Exactly.
So the funny thing about this conversation, Brooke, is I was thinking about going into resident satisfaction, and we have so much more time packed, but I
Oh
feel
yeah.
like I've taken all of the time just on this subject, which
Yeah.
no surprise. So if you don't mind, I'd love to schedule another time to chat
You
months from
bet.
now whenever you can give more time. But I just want to tell you thank you so much for, all that you do for the community, the space. You mentioned just really telling that story and changing that narrative. I would say that I think that's common for everyone
Yeah.
in senior
Agreed.
living, which is not just about the individual communities or the organizations. It's really promoting senior living as a whole and the benefits and the why behind it. So you do a great job. Really appreciate you. You're always speaking at every event. I think you were the busiest person at the Senior Housing News Conference. I
Not
think
sure
I
if that
spoke
was a
three
good thing or
times.
not.
It was a great thing. It's all of your sessions, as always, were well attended. So just want to thank you for what you bring to this space. But what's your any parting advice, whether it's with talent acquisition, with employee satisfaction, or just the overall culture and experience? I'd love to get any walk away from you at this point.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I have learned even, over the last couple of years more so is connecting with other people in the industry, especially ours. We have an incredible network of really smart and talented people and who are very open and willing to share things that are working for them. And there
Yeah,
is no, and just like we're saying, we're trying to lift up the organization or the industry as a whole. I really do truly believe that. I don't think it's just lip service. And I do think that, asking the questions, the whole like there's never a dumb question. I feel like I often ask the dumb questions. I don't always have the answers, but I think what I think is most important is that we never stop having the conversations.
yes,
Because
I
even
agree.
what we're doing today, like I said, it's not rocket science, but what we're doing today, we may have to pivot on that in a year because something new has come out, like new technology or new something. So I think always being in a conversation about how we can be better, do better, serve more effectively and efficiently, but not in a silo.
Yeah,
Right. And just like we're like why I feel so fortunate and privileged to be able to bring marketing perspective to resident engagement in life and the employee side. there's so many synergies to be had across disciplines, across companies, individuals, that I think we are truly better together. And yeah, I think that keep asking questions. I
I
don't have
love
all
that.
the answers. I can tell you that.
None of us do. And I love the phrase, what got you here won't get you there. And I think that's
Yes.
the phase we're in. It's just to come together. And that's something else I love about the senior living community is it's open, it's an open dialogue, and no one should be afraid to ask those questions, because I think that's something that's been made abundantly clear, which is we've all been there. We can tell you how we got to that point. And so that's the other thing is I'll say that a lot of the vendors slash channel partners, everyone is having this conversation. How do we get better? How do we be a lot more responsive? So such a great space. Where can people find you to learn more about? Wait, real quick, I'm going to shout you out the Senior Living Sales and Marketing Book Club. So make sure you promote that as well.
Yes. So you could absolutely find me on LinkedIn. And yes, Christy Vanderwest-Heisen and I host a monthly sales and marketing book club for the industry. Our vendor partners, solution partners are absolutely invited. Larry, you're one of my favorite people on there. You always have great contributions, but I really love that we get lots of different perspectives, and that book club has been such a joy. Yeah, and you can always find me on the Claiborne website also,
Awesome.
claiborne.com.
Great. Thank you so much, Brooke. And look forward to seeing you at the next event.
Awesome. Thank you,
All right.
Larry.
Thank you. Brooke, I always enjoy our conversations, and this was no different. Thank you for sharing your thoughts today. Here are a few key takeaways that I took from this conversation. First, marketing is a powerful tool for talent acquisition. Senior living organizations can apply marketing principles to recruitment by leveraging storytelling, refining job descriptions, and creating compelling digital experiences to attract top talent. Second, employee experience drives resident satisfaction. A well-structured onboarding process, ongoing training, and a strong company culture are critical in ensuring employees feel supported, engaged, and empowered, ultimately leading to better care and experiences for residents. And third, authentic storytelling strengthens recruitment and brand perception. Showcasing real employee and resident stories through video and social media not only humanizes the brand, but also helps connect with potential hires and families in a more meaningful way. Thank you again to Brooke, and until next time, let's go make some meaningful connections.
Thank you for listening to The Move in Healthcare Growth. Add your voice to the conversation. Email the show at themove@unlockhealthnow.com. Follow us on social media and stay up to date at unlockhealthnow.com. Also, be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode.